Video to show you guys how to adjust your valves without any timing marks or the side cover coming into play with any of that. You can see that my flywheel is removed. There's no marks on it. Side cover is gone. There's no reference marks there at all. This is how I would set my valves in the quad without using any reference marks at all. I'll show you what to look for. All I have here is just a ratchet on the end of the crank. All I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate the crank counterclockwise, watching the exhaust valve first. Okay, exhaust valves are opening. Exhaust valves are closing. As soon as the exhaust valves close, you're going to go over and watch the intake valves. They're going to start opening. Okay, intake valves close. As soon as the intake valves stop moving upward, then you know you're close to the base circle of the cam. From there, take your ratchet, go a quarter turn with the crank. Now you go back here, exhaust valves have clearance, intake valves have clearance. The cam, which obviously is underneath the cover, is sitting in there right now like this. So as I turn the crank counterclockwise, the exhaust lobe comes up, opening the exhaust valves, comes around. When it gets to here, this will be your intake lobe. It starts opening the intake valves. When the cam sits like this, you're going to believe for a second that you can adjust the valves at that time. You cannot. Keep rotating until the cam gets to the base circle on both lobes. Base circle is from here to here on the exhaust lobe, and on the intake is from here to here. Right now, with the cam sitting in there like this, our rockers are sitting here and here, which would be fine to adjust because your base circle on the intake is from here to here, and on the exhaust is from here to there. And we're sitting right here right now. So I will loosen the adjuster nut. Here about a half a turn. Get my 1/8 thou feeler gauge. You have to kind of weasel it in there a little bit. Okay, with the feeler gauge in there, you're going to want to be able to move it back and forth with very slight resistance. So tighten it up, wiggle in the feeler gauge until you can feel it bind, and then stop. I cannot move the feeler gauge, that's a little bit too tight, so you just back it off just a hair. Now I can move my feeler gauge with slight resistance. That's where I want to tighten it up. With 1/8 thou feeler gauge on the rear exhaust valve. Now I'm going to hold the adjuster with the screwdriver and tighten up the lock nut. Now you're going to want to counteract the resistance of the nut tightening with the screwdriver so it does not move the adjuster. Lots of times guys will tighten these up and the adjuster will tighten, lessening your clearance. Nice and snug. You want to recheck it. Slide the feeler back and forth with slight resistance. That's exactly what you want. Remove that. Then you're going to go ahead and you're going to do this one. Then from here, with the valves fully closed on the intake, you can go ahead and set those. I'm not going to go and set them all just for video time, but then you're going to stick your 6th thou in here, adjust them, spin it around, do this one, this cylinder will be done. So from here, you can do this in the bike without any reference marks. All you got to do is watch your rocker arms and your valve opening and closing. Rear cylinder is done, so now what we're going to do is we're going to do the front cylinder. Again, I'm going to start turning the crank. Right now, the exhaust valve is closing. And if you notice, as soon as the exhaust valve closed, the intake starts opening. That's not where you want to set it. Here's the front cam. So right now, that cam is sitting in there like this. I can't see it, but I know it is because as soon as these close, these start opening. There's very little room here as opposed to the lobe center or the base circle on the cam, sorry. So I'll keep going counterclockwise. My intake valves are opening. Intake valves are closing. They stop moving, so this is where I'm going to do my quarter turn. Right there. That quarter turn, what's happening is on the exhaust, you're turning it, and the exhaust is already closed. The intake just comes up and closes, so it'd be sitting about right here. That extra quarter turn puts him in line with the base circle on the cam.